This is my life story, real and full of rises and falls. I was married when I was 13 years old, when the world was still new to me and everything was a mystery. My name is Sana. I am 28 years old now, but my story started when I was 12 years old. I lived in a small village. I lived with my father, my mother, and my 4 brothers and sisters. I loved school. I loved my teachers. I walked to school with my friends. We studied. We played in the playground. We laughed a lot. I loved books. I loved storybooks the most. I borrowed books from my teacher. I read all night. I finished 1 book in 1 night. But my father was not happy. He said, girls should stay at home. Girls must cook and clean. Girls must learn to weave carpets. My mother did not agree. She said, I want my daughter to study. I want her to be a teacher. I don't want her to live a hard life like me. My parents argued many times. I was scared. I sat in the corner and listened. I prayed, please let my mother win. In our village, many girls left school. Some girls worked at home. Some girls wove carpets. Some girls got married very young. I was afraid. I did not want to leave school, so I studied very hard. I got the best grades. I wanted to make my mother proud. I wanted to stay in school. My mother hugged me and said, good job, Sana. Keep going. My mother was my hero. She was forced to marry when she was very young. She said, I never had a childhood. She only worked and had babies. She wanted a better life for me. She wanted me to have dreams. I promised, I will not give up. I will study. I will make my mother proud. But then, one day, everything changed. One evening, my father came home. He looked serious. He said, Sana, you will get married. You are big enough now. It is time for you to get married. My heart started to beat fast. I felt like the ground moved under my feet. Tears filled my eyes, but my father looked away. I wanted to scream, but no words came out. My dreams fell down like broken glass. I felt weak, helpless, and alone. I thought, why can't I live my dreams? Why must I marry now? I said, please, Father, I am still a child. I want to study. I want to become a teacher. Tears came to my eyes, but my father did not care. He said, girls do not need dreams. Women must stay at home. Women must cook, clean, and obey. I felt like a door closed in front of me, a heavy door that I could not open. That night, I cried into my pillow. I did not want to marry. My heart was broken. I felt lost. I felt like I am in a dark. That night, my mother and father fought for a long time. They argued until the morning. Sometimes my mother shouted. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she begged my father, please don't do this. She is too young. But my father did not listen. He said, I have given my word. I made a promise to my friend. He said, they will come soon for the wedding. My mother's voice broke from crying, but my father stayed strong and cold. Nothing could change his mind. I sat in my small room, holding my book, shaking with fear. I knew my life was about to change forever. Every day, my mother sat with me. She tried to make me feel better. She held my hands and said, "I'm sorry, my dear. I could not protect you. I have no choice. I must agree with your father." She spoke softly, but her eyes were full of sadness. She started to prepare me. She said, "His name is Davud. He is 30 years old. He lives with his parents in the next village." My heart felt heavy. I was scared. My mother said, "You must listen to your husband and his family. You must obey them. If you do, they will not hurt you." Then she hugged me tightly and whispered, "Take care of yourself, my daughter. I love you very much." I felt her tears on my hair. I wanted to cry too, but I stayed silent. I felt like a small bird about to be pushed out of the nest into a storm. One afternoon, my mother came to my room. She said, "They are coming today." I felt my heart stop. I could not move. I could not speak. I sat on the floor holding my old storybook. My hands were shaking. I wanted to hide, but there was nowhere to go. Soon, I heard voices outside, laughing, talking, footsteps on the ground. The family of Davud had arrived. My mother wiped my tears. She whispered, "Be strong, my daughter. Be polite. Stay quiet." I wore a simple dress. I sat in the corner of the room. I listened to the voices in the next room. The two families talked for a long time. They laughed. They made promises. They set the date for the wedding. I felt like a stranger in my own life. No one asked me what I wanted. No one asked if I was ready. Later, they called me to the room. I walked slowly, my head down. I was shaking inside. Then I saw him, Davud. He was a big man with a wide body and a fat face. His eyes looked small and angry. He did not smile. I felt my heart drop. I could not believe it. I thought, is this the man I must live with? He looked so old to me. He seemed proud and rough. I wanted to run away. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. But I felt cold. I felt lost. My storybook, my school, my teacher, my friends, they all seemed so far away now. I was only 13, and now my life was not my own anymore. Very soon, the wedding day came. It came faster than I ever wanted. Someone brought me a white dress. Everyone said, "Look how beautiful you are." But for me, the white dress was not a dress of happiness. It was a dress of sadness. It felt like a dress of death. My hands were shaking when I wore it. My heart was crying inside my chest. I wanted to run away. I wanted to hide, but I could not. Everyone was waiting. Everyone was smiling. Only I knew how much pain was inside me. I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw a girl with big, scared eyes. I did not see a bride. I saw a prisoner. My mother stood near me. She tried to smile, but her eyes were red from crying. She whispered, "Be strong, my daughter. Be strong." Days and nights passed slowly. They were full of pain. They were full of sadness. Every morning I woke up with a heavy heart. Every night I cried quietly under my blanket. I missed my mother. I missed my brothers and sisters. I missed my school, teacher, and my friends. Now my days were full of work, cooking, cleaning, washing, and serving. There was no more school. There were no more books. Dawood loved me in his own way, but he did not understand me. He was a grown man, but he had never been to school. He expected me to be a real wife. He wanted me to be a woman, but I was not a woman. I was still a little girl with broken dreams. I did not know how to live this new life. I felt lost every day. Sometimes I stood by the window and looked at the sky. I whispered to myself, "Is this how my life will be forever?" I cried and cried. 1 year later, I became a mother. I was only 14 years old. I was still a child myself. When I held my baby girl for the first time, my hands were shaking. She was so small, so soft, so beautiful. She looked at me with her tiny, dark eyes. But I was scared. Very scared. I did not know how to be a mother. I did not know how to care for a baby. I still needed someone to care for me. Sometimes, when my baby cried, I cried too. We cried together in the dark nights. I rocked her in my arms and whispered, "I will try my best, my little one. I will try to be strong for you." But deep inside, I felt lost. I felt like a little girl who was asked to carry the world. I wanted to play. I wanted to read books. I wanted to dream. But now I had a big, heavy job to be a mother before I even learned how to be myself. 4 more years passed. Life was still very hard, but I stayed strong. My little daughter, Amina, was now 4 years old. She was full of life. Her smile gave me hope every day. In those 4 years, I worked very hard at weaving carpets. After finishing my daily chores, I immediately started weaving carpets. I secretly saved part of my wages. I knew one thing: I would fight for my daughter's future. I would never stop. Slowly, I made a little pile of money. I had a dream in my heart. I dreamed of a better life for Amina. I dreamed of freedom. I decided I will not let my daughter have the same sad life I had. I waited in silence, watching and hoping. I was waiting for the perfect moment. I was carefully waiting for the best opportunity. I didn't rush because I knew one wrong step could destroy everything. I had only one chance, and I was ready to take it. I was scared to make a mistake. I couldn't risk losing everything I had fought for. Dawood was not always kind. Sometimes he got angry for no reason. Sometimes he found a small mistake, or even no mistake, just to yell, just to hurt me. He wanted to show me that he was the boss. He wanted me to fear him. He wanted his family to see how strong he was. He believed a wife must always obey. Without questions, without voice. When he was angry, his face changed. His eyes became cold. his hands became heavy. Every time he hit me, I felt smaller. I felt weaker. But deep inside, something else grew stronger. Something small and brave. I never forgot my dreams. I never forgot my little daughter. I never forgot her future. One night, everything changed. That night, Davoud came home angry again. No reason, no warning, just a storm of shouts and fists. I stood still. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. In my heart, I whispered, "This is the night I have been waiting for." Every hit he gave me made my decision stronger. I was done. I was ready. I knew I had to leave. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. When the house became quiet again, when Davoud slept heavily in his bed, I packed what little we had. That night, the pain gave me wings. The fear gave me strength. The broken pieces inside me became a sword. And in the darkness, with Amina's small hand in mine, I stepped into the cold night, not as a weak girl, but as a mother ready to fight for her child's future. I packed our small clothes. I hid the money inside my dress. I took Amina's tiny hand in mine. And with a heart full of fear and full of hope, we ran away from that house. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing. I would fight for my daughter's future. I would never stop. My heart was beating fast. I was afraid someone would see us. I was afraid someone would call my husband, but I kept walking. Every shadow looked like a person. Every sound made me jump. Dogs barked somewhere far away. I heard a door slam in the distance. My hands were sweating, even though the air was cold. I whispered to Amina, "Don't talk, don't look back." She nodded and held my hand tighter. We passed houses where lights were still on. I pulled Amina behind a wall and waited. I was afraid someone would see us. If they told Davoud, he would come, and he would never let us go again. Finally, we reached the bus stop. It was an old place, broken and quiet. Only one old man was sitting there, sleeping. I had saved money in my dress, hidden close to my body. With shaking hands, I bought 2 tickets. We waited in the shadows. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, an old bus arrived. I pushed Amina onto the bus. We sat at the very back, far from everyone. I pulled my scarf low over my face. Amina leaned on me, scared and sleepy. The bus started to move, slowly at first, then faster. The village became smaller and smaller. I looked out the window and saw the fields and houses disappear into the dark. I did not feel safe yet. I thought maybe someone would follow us. Maybe someone would stop the bus. Every time the driver slowed down, my heart jumped. Every time someone spoke loudly, I froze. Amina slept in my lap, her small fingers clutching my dress. I stayed awake the whole night. I could not close my eyes. The road was long and lonely. The bus rattled and shook, like it could fall apart at any moment. Finally, the sky began to turn light. The long, dark night was over. Morning had come. and with it, little more hope in my heart. We reached a small town. The bus stopped, and I took Amina by the hand. We stepped off slowly. The air was still cold, but the sun was rising. I walked to the small station office and bought 2 new tickets. We were not at the end of our journey, yet our true destination was still ahead. The capital. A big, crowded city, a place full of people and noise, and to me that meant one thing, a perfect place to hide. No one would find us there. No one would know who we were. In that huge city, I could disappear and begin again. The second bus ride was long and quiet. Amina slept with her head on my shoulder. I stared out the window, watching the roads stretch into the distance. Finally, the bus entered the city. It was the capital city. It was huge, and it was full of places to hide. I felt tears in my eyes, tears of fear, tears of hope. I hugged Amina close and whispered, "We made it, my love. We are safe. Now our new life begins." But deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. We stayed a few nights in a very cheap inn. The room was small and cold. The walls were cracked. The blanket was thin. But we were safe, and that was enough for me. After a few days, I found a better place. I met a kind woman named Mahin. She was middle-aged with soft eyes and a warm smile. She lived alone in a small house. She said, "I get lonely. I want someone to stay here. I have a little room for rent." The house was very small. Only 2 rooms, a tiny kitchen, and a yard with an old tree, but it was very clean and warm. When Mahin saw Amina, she smiled and said, "Oh, she is like a little sun. She brings light into this house." Mahin liked us, and we liked her. She told Amina stories at night. She read little poems for her. Sometimes she baked bread and gave us warm pieces with butter and honey. For the first time in a long time, I felt a little peace in my heart. I looked at the small room we rented. Just a mattress on the floor, a broken table, and 2 old chairs. And I thought, this is our palace. This is the beginning of our new life. Every morning, I woke up early. I had no time to waste. I needed to find work. I left Amina with Mahin. She promised to watch her like her daughter. I walked through the busy streets. I asked in restaurants, in shops, in houses. Some people said no. Some people looked at me with cold eyes. But I didn't give up. Finally, a small restaurant owner said, "You can clean tables and floors. The pay is small." I smiled and said, "Thank you, I will do my best." The work was hard. I stood for hours. My hands hurt. My back ached. But every time I thought about Amina's little smile, I found new strength inside me. At night, I came back tired and dirty. But Amina would run to me, hug me, and laugh. Her hug made all my pain disappear. We ate simple food. We shared everything we had. Some nights, I was so tired that I could hardly keep my eyes open. But I still sat beside Amina. I told her stories. I sang her songs. I promised her, one day we will have a better life. You will go to school. You will be free. After a few weeks, I heard about a school for women. It was a small school. It was for women who never had the chance to study. So one evening, after work, I went to the school. I walked slowly. My heart was beating fast. But when I entered the classroom, I saw women like me, and even older than me. Women with tired hands but bright eyes. Women who still had hope. The teacher smiled at me. She said, "Welcome, you are very young." I sat at a small wooden desk. I opened a book. For the first time in many years, I felt like myself again. At night, after Amina fell asleep, I read my books under a small light. Sometimes my eyes closed from tiredness, but I did not stop. I whispered to myself, "Keep going, Sana. One day, you will stand tall." Life was still hard, but I had a dream, and dreams gave me wings. I worked in the day. I studied at night. I smiled for Amina. I cried alone sometimes, but I never gave up. Because now I was not just surviving. I was building a new life, brick by brick, dream by dream. Months turned into years. Slowly, my life began to change. I finished my studies at the women's school. The day I got my certificate, I cried. I held it in my hands and whispered, "This is the key to our new life." A teacher at the school helped me find a better job. I started working at a small library. I cleaned the floors, arranged the books, and helped people find what they needed. I loved the smell of the books. One afternoon, the head of the library said, "You are smart, Sana. Would you like to help children read?" My heart jumped. I said, Yes, I would love that." So I started teaching little children how to read simple words. I showed them how to hold a book. I showed them how to love stories. Every time a child smiled and said, "I can read," I felt proud. I felt alive. At home, Amina was growing fast. She went to school too. She was one of the best students. She loved books just like me. Sometimes at night, we sat together, reading side by side. I looked at her and thought, all the pain, all the hard days, all the tears, they were worth it. That same year, I took a big step. I studied hard and passed the exam. I got accepted into a university. It was not easy. I worked during the day. I studied late at night after Amina went to sleep. Many times I was tired. Many times I wanted to cry, but I did not stop because I had a dream and I had a little girl watching me. After years of hard work, I graduated. I wore a simple dress and held my diploma in my hands. My heart was full of pride. I had done it. Soon after, I found a job as a school teacher, standing in front of my students for the first time. I smiled with tears in my eyes. All the pain, all the nights of fear were now behind me. Amina was growing too. She loved school. She loved books and stories. She studied hard and got very good grades. Little by little, our life got better. I saved more money. I worked harder. And one day I rented a bigger house. It was small, but it had 2 bedrooms, one room for me and one for Amina. I wanted Amina to have everything I never had. So I made a small library for her. I filled the shelves with colorful books, stories, poems, and fairy tales. Amina loved it. She would sit for hours, reading and smiling. Her room was simple, but full of light. Sometimes she hugged me tightly and said, "Mama, you are my hero. I want to be strong and brave like you." I kissed her forehead and whispered, "You already are, my little one. You already are." I watched her grow. I watched her dreams grow too. And in my heart, I whispered, "This is the life I wanted for you, my little girl. You deserve the best." Dear friends, the story you just read is my true story. It is the story of my real life. For many years, I lived in hiding. For many years, I could not see my mother. I lived with fear, but I never let go of my dreams. I fought for my freedom. I fought for a better future. Please share your thoughts about my story. I would love to hear what you feel. Thank you for reading. Thank you for being part of my journey. Your support means the world to me. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.